Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 28th of June, 2019, of course. So welcome everyone, welcome to this Friday's afternoon session and the last session for June. So if I can put it that way. As always, before we jump into the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a quick mentioning of our JFD Bank YouTube channel here, YouTube page, where you can go in and subscribe for our videos that we produce on a daily basis. I believe you can find them useful. So yep, feel free to click on the subscribe button here and we will be always happy to see you in our webinars. Also, very quick mentioning of our JFD research page where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to check that one out as well. Some of these analyses are more in depth, so if you would like to have a nice read, yep, we can find some good material right here on our JFD research page. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE100. Now, a very quick kind of look at this one. Basically, it's kind of moving sideways this week, and from the beginning of I should say from Monday this week, I mean, it kind of was moving nowhere. It still continues to balance above this key area of support near the 7,370 zone, approximately around there. And for now, this is going to be our very important level that we're going to be keeping a close eye on, because a drop below this could open the path towards slightly lower levels. Now, the first level that we're going to be targeting here, if we see a drop below the 7,370, will be this area around here, around the 7,320, 25, something like that. Actually, let me just adjust this one a little bit. So this is the the area that we're going to be targeting. This level also could, or should I say, would coincide with the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, if by the time, I mean, this index would travel lower here, and like I said, yep, this could coincide with the 200 EMA, so that's why this potential target could be a nice one to watch, and then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do. If it wants to travel further down, then yep, we will consider further declines, but for now it seems that this week in a way could close around here somewhere, because for the upside, what we're looking here for is, from the very short-term perspective, if we do get a push above the 7,435-36 zone, approximately there, yep, it could open the path towards this high, the last week's high near the 7,469. But to be honest, we would like to see a nice good push above this level here, the 7,469, in order to kind of, let's say, consider higher levels in the near term, because this way such a move would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could aim for let's say, for example, the high of April, the highest point of April, which is near the 7,529 zone. So in a way, guys, if we draw this highlighted, if we highlight actually these potential breakout points, so basically this one is for the upside here, the 7,469, and the for the downside we have the 7,369 area. So keep your eyes on this one. This little 100 point range here could kind of continue keeping the price here within that little range. So for a while we could see this one trading here for a while, but if it breaks through one of the sides, then in a way that could become a little bit more exciting. Nasdaq, and now looking at this one and looking at the cash index right now, so it's also somewhat flat. It has been flat for this whole week. In a way, it traveled lower. It managed to move away from the highs of last week near the 7,770 zone, but it traveled lower, tested this area right here near the 7,600 zone, so around there. So I do have two levels here, approximately around the 7,595 and the 7,605. So this kind of little 10 point range here, but that's why we're going to keep it to the 7,600 zone. So this zone kind of acted as a good area of support from which you can see the index pushed higher. So in a way, what we could see here is, to be honest, the same picture probably, and the markets are in anticipation of and to see how the whole G20 summit is going to go through, and that's why probably we're not seeing much activity here. The markets don't want to rush into this one, or should I say investors don't want to rush into this one. They want to see how the G20 summit will go through, and then on Monday we'll see probably more activity here. Maybe we could see a nice gap to either of the sides, depending how the let's say the talks between the Trump and the Xi Jinping will go along. So that's why, guys, for now we're going to keep on monitoring this one. So in a way, what we could do here for the upside, if we see a push above the 7,770 level, this is where we will aim for the all-time highs again here. So the previous all-time highs, which were reached in April, and that was around the 7,850 level. Now also the in terms of the downside, as you can see, the level here that remains the same, the 7,600 zone. A drop below this could potentially lead towards a test of the 7,459 zone, approximately there. This good potential area of support here. We'll see what it wants to do then if we see such a move, but for now we're just going to continue observing some of these key areas of resistance and support. So this one right here, there we go. So for now, guys, like I said, keep an eye on these levels. CAD yen, very quickly on this one. So earlier today, before the Canadian GDP figures were announced, we threw out this idea here on our account, and our JFD research account on TradingView, and basically this was the we were still trading within this little kind of triangle pennant formation here, and what we're saying, we need to see that nice good clear break either above this highlighter area or below this one. So as you can see, this is what we got. So we got a nice push to the upside. We managed to break the upper side of the pennant. And we also managed to break this key area of resistance near the 82.35 zone, but as you can see, the bulls are pushing this one back. So if, let's put it that way, if we see at least a 4-hour candle closing above this, then there could be some hope for the bulls to push this one further up here. Now the target that we've got here is around the 82.62 zone, marked by the high of the 22nd of May. Good potential area here, but of course, if it breaks further, then yep, good news for the bulls. But for now, as you can see, that it's kind of struggling still with the 82.35. Keep your eyes on this one. You can see that on one hand, the bulls are really willing to push this one further because they're not allowing the bears to kind of to drag this pair back inside this pennant formation. So that's why it's kind of balancing around here somewhere. So that's why we're going to be keeping a close eye on this 82.35 level. We'll see how that plays out. If we get a nice further push above this 82.35, then yep, this could increase the chances for CAD yen to travel a little bit higher here. But then again, also it depends, because if the yen traders are also kind of in anticipation of the outcome from the G20 summit, then the pair might kind of continue balancing around here somewhere. So that's why we're going to be very careful with this one. Maybe if it's, let's say if it stays around this area somewhere, then probably the next big move could come next week, or should I say even early Monday morning. So yep, keep an eye on this one. If this suddenly, let's say, reverses back below the 82.10 zone, then we will consider initially a possible test of the 81.87, which is marked by the peak here of the 20th of June, or even going further down towards the 81.5960 zone, approximately around there, which also could coincide with the 200 EMA. But that's in the scenario if we see a drop below the 82.10 level. USDCAD, very quickly on this one. So this morning I was talking about this one, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on some of these levels. We had a perfect test of this 1.3064, so I talked about this level, and as you can see, it held the rate nicely from falling further, and that level was, just to show you what that level was here in the past, basically that was the lowest point of February this year. So good area of support, as you can see that, and actually we can see that the bulls are fighting back here and pushing this one, trying at least to push back this one to the upside. Now if this travels back up here and pushes above the 1.3110 zone, of course this could be seen as a nice a good sign for the bulls. But to be honest, ideally now what we're going to be looking here for is we're going to be waiting for a push above the 1.3135 before we could kind of get excited about slightly higher levels. For now, we're just going to continue observing this one. If this drops below the 1.3064, now this is where it could become really interesting for the bears, and we could see further declines. And the area that we're going to be targeting there is going to be, of course, the psychological 130 level. But for now, it's kind of stuck here. If, let's say, it doesn't move today, if it stays somewhere around here, then maybe we'll have some activity, have some nice activity starting from Monday. AUDJPY, also I talked about this one. This one's also waiting for the G20 outcome, and as you can see, this is still hanging around this downside resistance line taken from the high of the 20th of May. And I was talking about this one in one of my previous videos. I was talking about this pair, and I was saying that keep an eye on this downside line and keep an eye on this 75.62 level. Basically, we need to see a nice good clear break above this level before we could aim for higher levels. We do have a target here near this 76.39, which marks the high of the 20th of May, so good potential area of resistance here. Of course, there are some smaller ones here around the 76 zone or in 76.16, but like I said, this one could be a nice area for a test. Basically the high of the 20th of May, around the 76.3940 zone. So keep your eyes on that one, but again, we'll only consider that if we see a strong push above the 75.62. In terms of the downside, as you can see by the chart here, and you can see by the highlighted areas, I mean, we're taking a more conservative approach here, and we're going to probably wait until we see a drop below the 74.75 before we kind of get excited with lower areas. This little territory for us is going to be somewhat of a neutral one, because we may see this one sliding back down, could be like flirting with some of these areas here, some of these EMAs as well. But to be honest, like I said, the drop below the 74.75, that's where it could become a little bit more interesting for the sellers. GBPCHF, I also talked about this one, and actually this morning, and this is what I was telling you about, guys, to keep a close eye on this 1.2357 zone. Look how well this played out. We did have a nice drop initially, but we kind of didn't close the 4-hour candle below it. So you can see that the bulls managed to kind of drag it back above this 123.57 zone, and you can see that now they're kind of in control and testing the pivot from underneath. Now, if they have enough steam to drive this one higher, that's great news for them. We could see this one pushing higher. The only thing is that for us, well, this area here roughly between the 1.2357 and the 1.247374, this is going to be a little bit of a neutral territory for us, because in order, let's say, to aim for higher levels, for us, we would like to see a nice good push above the 1.2474, and then we will target areas like the 1.2587 or even this 200 EMA. For now, this territory is for us a little bit of a neutral one, even though, yes, I mean, we see that the bulls are having a nice moment right now. They are pushing the pair higher. They're desperately trying to push this one above the pivot, today's pivot. Let's see if they can actually continue pushing this one further up. If they can, then it will be very interesting, probably going into next week. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and that's EURGBP. Now, I talked about this one as well this morning, and basically in the morning in my trader's tea time, we were still below this 0.8975 level. Now, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this one, because in a way we could see further push higher, and we did have a nice move toward the R1. We managed to reach the 0.8990 level, but to be honest, it never kind of reached the psychological 90 level, and you can see that the bears kind of quickly took control here, and now they've kind of brought the pair back below the 0.8975. Of course, this creates kind of, or should I say, it makes the bulls worry a little bit. The only thing is that the main thing for now probably is to watch this this upside support line, because if the pair stays, or let's say even if the 4 hour candle stays below this could in a way increase the chances. I'm not saying that it might kind of be like the perfect indication that which will kind of lead, for example, towards the downside, but in a way it could increase the chances for this one to slide further down. But for us, still the main level to watch here remains the 0.8940. A drop below this, this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for the bears, for more bears, I would say, and this would in a way open the path towards the 0.8916, which is a mark near the lows of the 25th of June and the 24th of June. And if that fails to withhold, now this is where the pair in a way could travel all the way down towards the 0.8870. Now this is a very nice potential area of support here, marked by the lows of the 12th of June and also by the 19th of June, so good potential target. But of course, this is a bit of a long shot here. Initially, keep your eyes on this upside support line. If it holds, then we will skip the downside for now. If it doesn't hold, well, this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the bears. And like I said, initially we will target the 0.8940, but again, if that breaks, now this is where it could even become even more interesting for even more sellers. So that's why keep your eyes on the 0.8940 level, guys, and from the very short-term perspective, keep your eyes on this upside support line. If it reverses and pushes the pair back above the 0.8975, well, I mean, maybe even actually we could see that test of the psychological 0.90 level this by the end of this week, so, or by the end of today. But yep, for now, guys, keep your eyes on this line. Let's see how this is going to play out. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end, and I really hope you'll have a fantastic weekend, guys. For those who are still trading, have a careful evening, yep, I hope everything goes in your direction, but for everybody else, I mean, who is already finished for today, have a wonderful weekend, guys, and I'll see you on Monday, as always, on my Trader's Espresso at 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, bye bye.